Brooke, your host here today on the Grit Crusade podcast, and I have an amazing guest with me today, the famous Heather Baber-Roe.
Thank
I know.
you.
I'm so excited that you're here. I heard you like a year ago on Sarah Harris' podcast, long before I ever had a podcast.
Okay.
And I was like, oh my God, I feel like I know Heather because I listened to you on the podcast. So I'm glad you're here.
Thanks. I need to re-listen to that one because someone else mentioned that.
Yeah.
And I had forgotten some things that was said. I was like, I need to listen to that one.
Like, did I really say that?
Yeah.
I know. I listen every week to my podcast, and I'm like, who knew I even said that last time? Like, I totally forget. So, all right. So, for those of you that don't know, might not be in the Central Arkansas area, Heather is the co-owner and chef of the Taco Society restaurants. Yeah. So, you have Baja Grill times two, right?
Yes.
Here in Little Rock. So, Sling County and Little Rock. You have Rober, which is Baber-Roe. Rober, is that right? Did I make that up? That was
Roe and Baber.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, I like one day I was like, oh, that's why that's called that. Yeah.
Our staff came up with that name.
And then now you have the new restaurant, which is Revival. I love it. So tell us a little bit about you and what you're doing in life right now.
Just working. That's it.
Literally.
That's the end of the podcast.
Well, because Revival like opened this week or last week. Right?
We did a couple of practice days last week, and then Tuesday was our just legit like first, like the decor is up and we're rolling with our normal business hours.
So why do you keep opening restaurants?
Because I'm crazy.
Yeah.
You sound like my husband. Why do you do this? Man, I mean, I love the restaurant business. I think I'm definitely done. But opening 2 in 5 or 6 months is
insane.
That's just.
But you grew up in this.
Yes. Well, my grandparents had a restaurant before I was born, and then again later closed down for like a little bit, and they reopened it. When I was born, my parents were teenagers, and they owned a steakhouse.
Oh wow!
When I was born, and then they continued on with my grandparents' barbecue restaurant, and so I was just around it. And my dad and my grandparents were the restaurant people.
Yeah.
And those were my people.
Yeah.
And so,
So you grew up literally in a kitchen and like serving tables.
Yeah.
So did you started your first restaurant yourself though, right? You didn't buy a restaurant or anything.
Well, they were started. Yes. Baja started as a food truck.
That was Craig. I don't think I knew that.
Yeah. Craig started the food truck. It was a food truck, and it was on military.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
So we have food truck, and then sold the food truck to have money to open the brick and mortar in the Heights.
Yeah.
And that was, oh my gosh, I think I just missed the birthday.
Oh, nobody will know. You can just kidding. You can just post it on social media and be like, surprise, it's our birthday. And everyone's going to be like, okay, because nobody ever goes and looks it up besides you.
Oh my gosh. It was probably the day that we opened Revival. Was also like, just kidding. The birthday's coming up real soon. Happy birthday, Baja.
Yeah.
11. Well, it was 11 years from the food truck. That was January. And then the brick and mortar would be 9.
Oh, wow.
I think.
Yeah, 9 years.
I can't do math right now sitting back here with these cameras and stuff, but I'll do math in a minute.
And you're like, I need a calculator. Like me, I'm like,
yeah. Yes.
So you guys opened the one in Little Rock, and then why you have a successful restaurant in Little Rock that everyone loves, and so why did you decide to open another restaurant?
Well, the mayor and a couple other people walked in one day. The mayor of Benton walked in one day and said, "We're here to bring you to Benton," and I was like, we're good.
You're like, what? Where?
Yeah,
why?
So, what is this town? No. And so we set up a meeting, and a couple of days later, we walked into his office, and he was there with the city developer and a couple other people, and the Hipskins were sitting there at the table, and met the Hipskins there, and they said, we want to bring like an anchor restaurant, here, and the Hipskins want to buy a building and redo it, and they want Baja Grill in it, and that is how that happened. And we talk to them, and we go look at the space that was originally supposed to be where it was. It's not where it is now, but where it was. We looked at that and kind of like talked about plans. And then I'm driving home, and Craig's with me, and we had to like pull over. Like, are we going to do this?
Like, is this real? Is this about to happen?
And the kids were at the time probably like, 13, 14, and we always said, like, if we did another one, we'd wait till they went off to college because we were busy with the Heights. We didn't have a manager there. It was us running it. And so we'll wait till they go to college. And then we said, well, this is, kind of like, we get to build it out how we want it. And, this just seems like a great thing to be able to do. Are we going to do this? Is crazy. But if we're going to do a second one, like, this is it. And because the food truck was in Benton, we already had, a little bit of a following. And so we're like, well, if we do it, this is the time and the place to do it, I guess. And opened it spring of 2020 when dining rooms were closed.
Oh my gosh. I ate so much Baja takeout. Like, you have no idea, because that's only, all we could do was I live in downtown Benton, obviously close to the restaurant. And there's not very many restaurants that even started takeout right away, because people were trying to figure out, like, how do you do online ordering? How do you do, those kind of things? Because a lot of, especially small restaurants, they didn't have that capability. And you guys were on it.
Well, I build all our website. Like, don't get on our websites and look and critique. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. So,
but you're going for it.
But I'm like, oh yeah, cool. And so a couple months before COVID, I had just built the page for online ordering and like incorporated it into our system and done all that a couple months before, just like lucked out with that part of it.
Yeah.
And then when we got the announcement that they were closing dining rooms, like that day, I just stood there with the Heights staff, like, okay, what, here are our options. Here's what we're going to do. Like, what I want you guys to be part of this decision. What do you want to do? And as we're discussing it, behind me, a transformer blew and we lost all power to the Heights. And I said, okay, we got it. And
okay,
so,
maybe not.
So we closed down that day because we had no power. And I remember locking the door to the Heights restaurant and looking at my key in the lock. And I was like, please God, do not let this be the last time that I lock this door. And so immediately drove to the Benton restaurant and worked on it. Cause construction was done, but like we assembled every single table and chair. Like, I remember like drilling, that base to, that tabletop.
And you're so scared at that point. I know I was, to spend any unneeded money, because you don't know what's about to happen economically.
And preserving. I remember talking to the staff about, preserving what's in our bank account. Do you want to do this? And then, we can like lay y'all off and y'all can file unemployment. Do you want to do that? Do you want to do this? And so we worked from about 8 a.m. to 1 a.m. Craig and I, like, doing what we could for the Benton restaurant. Like I said, assembling everything. And I thought, if I take one day off and then they open up dining rooms, and that's one day that we've lost.
Yeah.
So I like refused to take any time off. I called the Heights staff and I said, well, obviously I can't train people with dining rooms closed. And I said, how would y'all feel about y'all driving to Benton, opening this restaurant? Because a lot of people in Little Rock are doing takeout, but Benton loves new restaurants. So we'll be the new one. We'll do this. It'll, hopefully be busy. Hopefully y'all will make money. I'll try to do what I can to, compensate that if y'all don't. How would y'all feel about that? And then we'll start training people, and then we'll get them, and then y'all go back. And they said, we're in.
They're happy to have a job.
Yes. And so they all drove down the Heights. We opened it up, and we had 2.5 hour waits for takeout every single day.
Oh, I love that.
It was insane.
One of the things that I've heard people talk about in the community about you is that, and I think is very unique to your industry, is how much you care about your staff and your team and how you treat them. Because not every restaurant's run like that. And I think that's a testament to your leadership, that a whole team is like, I'm in. I'll go. That's a big deal,
Yeah. We're just lucky to have great people. And, and when we do have, it's just, people are spending so much of their time and, being away from their families to, be at the restaurant. I say to like, help us with our business. And I know, when I say it to some people, they're like, well, yeah, but they have to pay their bills too. I'm like, yeah, they could, but they could also go work for somebody else.
They could go to Walmart
and do that.
Grocery store.
I'm just like so grateful for all these people who work for us.
Yeah.
And, it'll be just a super busy Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, and they're just like getting their butts kicked. And I'm just like, oh, they don't know,
Yeah.
But, and they'll say, well, you're in the trenches with us. Like, you're bussing tables, you're doing this. And so it's hard, So I think that probably plays I know it plays a part, because they tell me it does, that I'm not just like hanging out at my house or like, out of town or whatever while they're doing, I'm in there
doing things with
them. So I think that's probably part of it too.
How do you find any kind of balance with life always being there. Yeah.
I don't. I'm bad at it. People they'll ask me for advice with it, and I'm not that person.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah.
And I know I need to work on it.
I think you're going to open something else new too, right?
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Thought you were done. Yeah, you're done, but you're going to do but it's not a restaurant, but it's in food.
Yeah.
Is it going to be at the same? So right now, Revival, Rober, and Baja, for people who may not be familiar with Central Arkansas or the Benton area, they're all together kind of on like a little campus almost.
Yes,
yeah. Right
and we say on campus. We'll be like, well, call somebody like, are you on campus?
yeah. Like you're in college or something. So they're all right there together.
Yes.
And so the new market that you're going to open, can we talk about that on here?
You can, I actually announced it like January 13th.
I saw a post about it, about like what people wanted and stuff. So it's going to tell us what it's going to be called.
It's South Street Provisions.
South Street Provisions. That sounds so old school. I love it. You're so
I'm very classy. If you could hear pre-podcast.
Yeah, no doubt about the tea bags. So we're not even going to go there.
Yes.
They weren't cups. So you're very vibey though with your restaurants. Like they all have a very different feel. They're very cool. And I know Craig did some of the work on Revival, but like the camping theme, and I was like, you got the pine cone lights in, and he's like, they're hops, and I'm like,
they're pine cones.
And I'm like, oh, and then he takes me over to the door and like points to the logo. It's like, see, it's a hops, see, and like I'm sure you can see Craig doing that, and I'm like, yeah. It's totally a pine cone, but
it's a pine cone. I can show you where I bought it. It's a pine cone. Craig's like,
it's like a hops. Yeah, so I guess this
we're saying it's a hop, I guess.
If that makes Craig happy, it's okay. So South Street Provisions is going to be like a market, right?
Yes, it's going to be a market, and in my mind, it's like 3,200 square feet because I want to add all this stuff. When in reality, it's 900. It's really small, and it is on campus. It's that space that's inside Rober.
Okay, so will you enter Rober to get there, or you won't enter Rober?
Yes, you enter that like front door. So there's a garage door on the left and one on the right. Yeah. It's the one on the right. Okay. So you have to walk just like 5 or 6 feet down the hall, and then the door's on the right. I'm doing like this for the
yeah.
People
on the podcast will know it's right, left. There we go. Yeah.
I just drew a door.
So
you walk
in the
through
air,
this thing.
Air door. So when is that going to open? Not in 2 months. Maybe,
no, but I am hoping to get a lot of work done on that maybe next week.
While you're on vacation, or
yes, that's when I get a lot of work done.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
a work-life balance, non-existent. Yes. Yeah. There we are. We're back to that. So, why do you see a need to open a market in downtown Benton? Well,
I'm a new resident to Benton, a year and a half, 2 years, I think, and there's certain things that I miss about Little Rock.
Yeah.
And, being able to go to a few markets there, I kind of miss not living. I live down the street from the Heights restaurant. And so I miss that. And so I thought, well, I'll just do that.
No, I think it'll be great. Being a Benton resident myself, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can't wait to see whatever's in there. I'm buying it. So it doesn't really matter what it is. I just can't wait. I'm like, what am I spending my money on today?
Yeah. I'm kind of all over the place with it. But Craig really wants to make sure that there's, stuff for charcuterie boards in there, and then like pre-made charcuterie boards if anybody wants it, those meats and cheeses.
Kind of grab and go type stuff?
Yes, grab and go. I'm going to put, smoothie bowls in there, fresh fruit, nice. Juices are going in there. But we really want to put some of our signature seasonings. So like if you eat at Baja, like all the seasonings, like we make everything in-house. So like the fajita seasoning, the seasoning that's on the chicken, the seasoning that's on the beef, the fajitas, and it's all different, and all that's made in-house.
I feel like you're going to kill it with that. People are going to love that.
I hope so. And we make the hot sauce too in-house. So I really want to bottle that and have that in there.
And that's a big deal in itself. Like you say those things, but like, okay, now we have to get packaging. And we've got to get big, like the actual container that's going to hold the spice and the hot sauce, and then the labels and the branding. Like it's all, and then which is cool and it's fun, but that's all a lot.
Yes, it is a lot. And then it's finding somebody that will do like, wet and dry, and you send that off to them, and they make it in bulk for the restaurant, and then they would also bottle it. And so it's, finding the right people to do that, and it not cost an arm and a leg, because you want to be able to like not charge people so much too.
Yeah,
so there's a lot into that. And then I'm like, and smoothie bowls. I'm like, looking at cute stickers.
And this and that. Yeah, that's so exciting. I love that. I know that you guys have that whole campus, right, has changed the entire vibe in downtown Benton. I think it's been a huge driving factor there. I mean, I have a business upstairs in your building now, our co-working space, and event venues there. And there is just so much that's gone around that you guys have really made a footprint that Sean and Denise started, by redoing that building. And
I just love that
so much work has gone on. It's changed the entire downtown, which has been awesome. And I know that you've been in the middle of all of that. It's been cool to see because, I mean, there was nothing.
When we looked at it, there was nothing. I was scared. I really was. And I was asking other business owners, like, what do you think? And of course, they're like, yes, come on, let's go. And I was like,
are you sure?
I was really scared. And I was like, okay, just let go, let God.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens.
No doubt. I think as entrepreneurs, we do that, though. We have to just go, okay, I have this idea. I think it's going to work. Or I'm going to go bankrupt.
Yeah.
So let's do it and see.
Yeah.
Because,
fingers crossed.
You never know. I'm under construction right now for like a couple $1 million facility. And, interest rates are through the roof, right? And it's an expansion and we need it. And the other programs will grow. Let's hope it works out. Like, it's one of those things. Like sometimes you just have to pull the trigger and go for it. And then let go and let God, like you said. All right. So I'm going to ask you some more personal questions here in a minute.
Oh, no.
But first, we do a fun segment on the podcast called Trivia in the Trenches.
This doesn't sound fun.
Yeah, it is so fun.
Trenches.
Yes. So I ask you a trivia question, and I've decided now that I try to stump people is actually my goal. It's not actually for you to know the answer, but we have had, I know it is rude, right? But I think I get this weird satisfaction of being like, ha, they didn't know. But we had three people, I think, so far that knew the answer to theirs. So yeah.
It'd be really great if I would have had Rachel on the phone, listening to this.
So
and then
she's
sending me the answers. I'm looking at my watch.
Yeah, I know. See, I don't wait that long though. So I know. Here we go.
The next person is going to do that.
They are.
You're welcome.
Okay. It is a food kind of related question.
Oh gosh.
So, yeah.
Well, I better get this right.
Yeah, I know. Or you can't be the taco girl. But it's not about tacos though. All right, here we go. The pound cake got its name from the pound of what ingredients that it contains?
Butter. Wait. No. Yes.
Is that your final answer? What show says final answer?
That is Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Yeah, Regis Philbin. That was good. Yeah, that wasn't the trivia question, but if it was, you would have gotten that one right. Okay, so you're kind of right. So ding ding ish.
Fat.
So it's butter, flour, and sugar. So here's the history of it.
So I almost said flour and almost said sugar.
And
so
you would have been
right.
Yes, you were so right. You get like a thumbs up because there's no prize for getting it right. So
I suck at baking and desserts.
So you're no baking or dessert person.
No.
Well, here's the history on it. So it was created in England during the 1700s, and the original recipes for pound cake called for 1 pound each of flour, sugar, butter, and eggs. The large quantities and no leveling made it a large, heavy cake that could feed big groups of people. And then, of course, the proportions were altered over time to make smaller, whatever. So that is why the pound cake was, because you literally had a pound of butter, pound of sugar, pound of flour, pound of eggs.
Nice.
Yes. It's kind of gross if you think about it like that. But pound cake is good. Yeah. Is that the same thing as bundt cake?
No.
It's not? Okay.
No.
Maybe I like bundt cake.
Just mark me down for on the next one since I knew that one.
I don't have a pen, but if I did. So, yeah. So, all right. So,
they don't know that.
This great journey, you've got these wonderful businesses. Hasn't always been easy, right? So
it's never easy.
Yeah, no, it hasn't always been easy. There's been some hard stuff along the way. So something on the little questionnaire you filled out that you shared with me is that you are sober. So you don't drink alcohol anymore, right?
Yes. Nothing.
And what's amazing about that is you guys have an amazing drink menu.
Thank you.
Yeah. So how do you do that?
I do that all by smell. And Craig is my taste tester. My husband, Craig, is the taste tester because he's the only person that I trust. A lot of the staff, they'll do it, but they just love that it has alcohol in it.
Yes,
so they're just like, yes, this is delicious.
And you're like, no, actually, I want to know the actual flavors together.
So I'll tell him what I'm going for, and he tastes it. And what he says to me and other people is that I'm actually better now. That I'm doing it by smell than tasting. And because 9 times out of 10, it's the first try, and I've knocked out of the park. But there's that one that it takes me probably 8 tries to get it right. And so it's frustrating. I wish I could turn the alcoholism off just for work and, make these drinks. I stood behind the bar at Rober and cried because I was so frustrated. We have this great whiskey program and I chose all those by smell as well. and created the flights and created all the cocktails. But I just stood back there and cried because I was so frustrated. And I was like, I wish I could just turn off alcoholism for just give me 30 minutes just so I can do
Get
this on my
menu.
own. Yeah. And I hated having help, and I hated seeing reps will come in and they're just like, oh, is Craig here to taste? And I'm just like,
I hate having to depend on someone else.
Do this. I can do this by smell. It's fine, but I just it's frustrating. Well, it was when I was creating it, but then I'm like, after I do it, then I'm just so happy that I, can say I, created all this stuff
without even tasting it.
And haven't tasted. There's a lot of these cocktails that people just love and that I haven't tasted. And there's a lot of them on Baja. I did create, before I was sober, and so some of those I have had, and I'll have to think was that pre? Have I had that one or not? Yeah.
Is there? Do you make yourself mocktail versions ever? You do that?
Not really. Also, suck at mocktails, and Baja has great mocktails. And what is funny is Craig had to come up with those because I could not do it. They were not very good, and then he did it, and he did such a good job with the mocktails. They're great, and so the name of them are tastes a lot like a margarita and tastes a lot like a mojito and a Moscow Mule. That's what I named them because I couldn't
come up with any other name.
Yeah,
so you just go for
whatever.
It. That's so cute. I love the what is it? My girlfriend doesn't want any. What is the?
Yeah. Well, I changed it from girlfriend because some people got offended. They're like, I'm a girl and I don't like to eat. And I was like, sorry. But it says, my friend doesn't want anything. And it just comes with 2 of everything.
I know. I loved that. I thought that was hilarious. So was there a moment where did you just decide one day to quit drinking, or was had life gotten a bad way, or what was that crux moment where you were like, I'm not going to drink anymore?
No. Yeah. And I have, a different story from other people. No one said anything to me. I think they were kind of scared to say something. A friend did say how many, have you ever what's the longest you've gone without drinking? And I was like, I don't know, maybe 2. And it was, 2 days. But what's funny is I had no clue I was an alcoholic, but there were all these signs. It's funny now looking back. And so, my story's really weird. Sometimes I hate to tell it because it wasn't I got a DUI and I did this and I did that, and that didn't happen. But I do still tell it that way. The struggling alcoholic who hopefully they'll listen to the similarities. I was very high functioning as well. We had Baja was running that not as well as I could. I'm going off track.
Yeah, not as well as you probably are now.
Yes. Yeah. For sure. But I'd gone out. It was a Christmas party for a local magazine, and we'd gone out for the Christmas party. That entire day, drank so much. I could drink so much and just not be hungover
just
the
your
next
tolerance
day.
Got so high.
Yeah. I mean, if I were to tell list everything I drank that day, you'd be like, how are you not dead right now? So we go to this Christmas party. I just make a fool of myself. I always had to be center of attention like most alcoholics. I don't remember shutting up at all. When I was at this table, 10 top, and just talked the whole time. It was just center of attention, me. Did some embarrassing things that you do when you're drunk. Fell out of an Uber. Who doesn't?
Right. Yeah.
Lost a shoe. Who doesn't? Did all that stuff. The next morning, I wake up and I would do this, I call take Craig's temperature, kind of see. Craig always looks at me when I walk into a room. He always, without fail, he does. Even in the restaurants, he does. And he wasn't doing that morning. I woke up at 7:30, went and got tortillas for Baja, did all this stuff, and I could tell Craig was super irritated with me. And I was embarrassed at some things. I did this windmill slap the butt of my rep of the magazine, just did dumb stuff. And so did all this stuff, came back home, and I was sitting there. It's a little after 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and all of a sudden, and I never once thought to give up alcohol. I wouldn't even do it for diets. Oh, you can't drink for 30 days. I was like, no, thank you. It never crossed my mind to not drink or to even take a week off. And it was literally just a voice that said, you can't drink again for the rest of your life, and you'll never feel this way again. And so I looked at the clock just because I wanted to know what time that was. And I knew right then I would never drink again. And it was 1:02 in the afternoon. And right down the street, a few days later, I went to my first meeting. And it was right down the street from my house at the time. And so I'm there for a couple of weeks and I loved it. And it's not anything like what people think, like what you see on TV shows and movies. It's not like that at all. And so at the end, we all stand up and hold hands and we say Our Father. And right before we start to say it, this woman says, let's take a minute, a moment of silence to pray for the struggling alcoholic outside of these rooms. And it always started at noon. It ended at 1. And I looked up right then and it was 1:02. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like what if they said that prayer? Yes. Like right then for me then. And I was like, well, this is where I'm supposed to be. And so I probably just overshared a lot.
No, that was great. That was great. I feel like that, we say, I've talked about it on the podcast before. I drink every day for 15 years and I still drink some, but like I didn't, like I can like go, like last night I went to one of your restaurants and I had 2 beers. That would have been like 6 or 8. I didn't have my kid last night.
Yeah.
All the time. And I did it for 15 years. And if I was not drinking, I was pregnant or I was hungover.
Oh,
like that was it. And I don't think I was an alcoholic, but I was definitely struggling with gray area drinking. And I feel like that there's this like stigma of if you haven't gotten arrested and lost your kids and all this, you don't have a problem. But like there are very unhealthy relationships with alcohol. And so I feel like so many people can relate to that and maybe hear that voice in their head and going, oh, damn.
Yeah. And you can't, and people with alcoholism, like cannot help it. And so, I would go out and I would drink and I would say, okay, I'm just going to have, 2 glasses of wine or two vodkas or 2 whatever, and then I'm going to be done. Well, once alcohol hits our brain, the shut off goes away and it's nothing. It's nothing we can control.
Yeah.
So, and the next day I'd be like, oh my gosh, I was just going to have 2. What happened? And I didn't know that was alcoholism. I never read about it. No one ever told me about, obviously, but now knowing what I know, you can't, that's why I can't even take a sip of the drinks I'm making because I, never want it to like get to my brain and that shut off. Like, so and people with alcoholism can't help it. And I think a lot of families think they're hurt and they're, why is my husband, picking alcohol over me and the kids and that. And it's like, your husband cannot help it. Like,
he either has to drink or not.
Yes. Yeah. And you also can't make people get sober. They have to want to, or it's not going to stick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
that's so true. That is so true. Do you have any sober staff members? You do?
I do.
Yeah. I love that. I feel like they probably feel so much strength from you. Like knowing like Heather can do it, I can do it too, Yeah,
there's some that, were sober when they came to work for me, but there's a lot that have gotten sober since. And so that's been good. Like I'm, glad to be there for them and, tell them about it. I mean, we struggled a lot and I got sober and, when I hear these people say, other sober people say like your life gets so much better, people in the program, your life gets it just gets better and better and better. Like just wait. And 6 months after I got sober, Baja just got, and I'm not, I hate saying this sentence because like, I'm not trying to take credit, but like everything just got so much better.
Yeah.
There's no way. If I was drinking, there's no way we would have these restaurants right now. I know that for a fact. We would not.
You just couldn't run them all.
No, I would have probably gotten drunk and offended somebody or Craig. Oh, and I didn't even loop back around to this. Craig was very upset with me that day when I said I was taking his temperature and he wasn't looking at me when I was walking in the room. And he was like, okay, like I need to buy her out of the restaurant. We weren't married or anything. He's like, okay, I need to buy, I need to buy her out or she needs to buy me out, but something's going to happen, and I didn't know that he was feeling that way, but he was, and he waited till I was probably about 30 days because I'd never gone that long without drinking. Well, besides, I guess when I was pregnant. But that's when I hit like 30 days sober, he just knew that was serious. And I told a lot of people about it. And because I told people about it and I have too much pride.
Yeah.
I knew that I would stay sober. Yeah. So I've let the character defects of like pride and ego, I've tried to flip them into a good thing of like the fact that I am so public with it, now I know like I can't drink
Yeah.
because I've told so many
I
people
feel like
about
after
it.
I talked on the podcast about it for the first time, because I was like really emotional when on that episode. Now I'm like, if I go out and get drunk and act a fool, like people are gonna be like, "What the hell?" Like, you know. And so it's like a group accountability thing,
Oh, yeah.
which is great. I mean, everybody needs accountability like that. So what has been the hardest part of going from one restaurant to having more than one to run?
It's time. I mean, it's the time. It's really, it's all I do. I hate that I can't walk into the Heights Baja every day. That really bothers me, but I want to be at every single restaurant all the time. People say, why don't you open in Northwest Arkansas, open in Hot Springs? But if I can't get I'm not doing it to be a business owner. I'm doing it because I like being in there. And I like talking to people. I like going to tables, and I like helping the staff. I'm not doing it like
to make a huge chain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is it like end goal? Do you hope to have like a GM at each location that you can like depend on? Is that like a I know opening new ones, that's hard right away. But like eventually like somebody that would be in charge of Revival.
No, we have
okay, so you have that now.
Yeah. We have that now.
So you're just like Mama Hovercraft over there.
Yeah, I mean, I waited tables last night. We were so busy, and it's such a new staff. And so, I mean, I had to from like start to finish. And it, usually it's like, well, I'll get their drink order for you. I just hit my best friend.
Your best friend, the mic.
Sorry. No, the people listening to this are like, what?
What just happened right now?
I was told the mic was my best friend. Anyway, I just hit it. From like start to finish, like dropping the check, and all that. And we have great GMs. It's always been for the most part women here at Rober. We have a new GM as of almost a month, and it is a male. It's like the only male in the group.
Yeah, it's like got a man in the house.
And it's so different, like the women and the men how they do it. Yeah, and he's young too, so it's fine. He's doing a good job, and I've decided to only hire within now. And he was Baja and like a manager on duty, shift lead over there and stuff. And I'm like only hiring within now, like live and learn. And so. That's what we're doing. And then Baja Grill's GM is also the GM of Revival, which is a lot. And then we have assistant managers. So, yeah, we have all that in place, but it's still very
a lot. How do you, one of the things I've struggled with opening, because now I've got 3 operating businesses, is not overextending my staff. Because it's like I take on these new projects that I am like all excited about, and then I need you to help too, and you to help, and everybody to help, and they already have their jobs that they're doing, and I have a great team, and so they love it, and they're all in because they love to help me with all these great ideas I have. But damn, at some point, like it's hard.
Yeah, no, they are probably all overextended. All the managers are. Joanna, who is the GM of the 2 restaurants in Benton, in the Palace. I just forgot the restaurant's names, Baja Revival. She will constantly just like hand me her keys, and I'll just like throw them in her purse. I'm like, nope, you can't quit. But yeah, she was like, if you open another, I'm done.
I'm not running anything else. So will Revival eventually get its own GM, or it depends on the size it grows to? Or
I don't know. And that's hard because that restaurant has a lot of seats, and it has I think more seats than it's had before. And so
because you guys have added a lot of seating out back.
Yeah. And so that gets hard because that's more staff, and as we know, like the personnel is sometimes like the biggest thing to deal with. So I don't know. I'll just kind of see, what she wants to do. I would never want to be like, hey, we're going, like, you're not doing a good job.
But like more likely her being like, hey, it's too big for me to do both. Get me some help. Yeah. Following your leaders there. So So do you do anything else for fun? Like, do you have any hobbies, or do you read or garden, or do you like?
I read about food sometimes.
Read about food. Yeah. You're going to the beach soon. I feel like I should like sneak your laptop out of your car.
No, I have to have it. No,
I know.
Yeah, no, I'm very nervous. I hate leaving. I just stress so much. I wish I could just stop time and then like go and then come back. And like nothing. The staff's probably like, yeah, let's stop. Let's all close while you're gone. That's probably what they would say.
And pay us too. This will be great. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I know. All right. So we know what's next coming up is you're going to open the market.
Yeah.
Anything else that you?
I don't think so. If I did another restaurant, Joanna would probably leave me. Craig would leave me.
And so you are on hold right now. They've like they put a pause button on you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. And Rover's such my baby. I mean, I love all the restaurants, but Rover's just different because it's food that I cooked at home over the years.
Yeah.
And so it's like a little more like, I keep that one close. That's different.
Oh, that vegan pasta.
Oh
my
so
God.
much.
It's my favorite recipe. Oh, of all the recipes, I love that one the most. It's the best. Oh my God. I get shrimp on it because I'm not vegan, but it's amazing. So don't take that one off. Don't let your staff talk you into that one.
No, I won't take that one off. A great one. I've only taken one thing off so far. Well, and that kitchen's so small. And we added steaks. So, and it's so small. So like literally something had to go because there's no space to like put everything that you have to, dress the plate with or that goes with it and stuff. And so something had to go. So, the pork dish left, and we're kind of rearranging because whenever I get back, I'm printing a new menu, and it has like all of the main stuff on it, but I'm adding something. Well, I almost said it, but then if it doesn't work out, and then people are like, I heard
it's a special. You're gonna add a special. Isn't that how it works in the restaurant world? Like you do a special to see how it goes, and then maybe it becomes like an actual staple in the restaurant.
Yeah, some people do. I mean, that's what I'm doing with Rover. I think some people do specials to like get rid of food. I could be wrong there, but
I never thought about that. They're trying to get rid of food.
Yeah.
Oh.
Some. I'm not all, but some.
But maybe.
Some. But ours was just my main thing was to build our Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm just gonna run steak on Tuesday, Wednesday. And Benton's like, the hell you are. So we have steak every day. But the surf and turf, I try to run the surf and turf just on Tuesday, Wednesday, because is a little more time consuming for that kitchen too. Yeah. And I do what I want. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. And you do what you want because that's your baby.
So the dish I want to hopefully get on there is my sea bass. So it's sea bass and risotto. And so I want to do it, but then and I have to do a run through in the kitchen. I can do it at home all I want, but in the kitchen and house risotto, how are we going to hold risotto to make it where it's not like all clumpy and, how do you hold this cream sauce is hard to hold.
Yeah.
And, how do we do that? Stuff like that.
That's cool. So you have kids, you mentioned kids earlier. Yeah.
Yes.
You have kids?
Mm-hmm.
How old are they?
They are 16, 18, and 21.
Oh, okay. So you got one still in high school or two? One? Yeah.
One graduates tomorrow.
Ooh, wow.
And we'll leave graduation and he and I will both go to Rover.
Yeah, and go straight to the restaurant. And it's on Saturday.
Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting. And so you've got one still at home and the other two are going to be moved out, or they live at home?
No, I'm not letting that 18-year-old go anywhere.
Okay.
He's my baby. No, he's going to do college online, a college in Florida. He's going to do online because he produces music. And so I'm thankful for that. So the 18-year-old that's graduating, he is my son biologically. And then the other two are Craig's.
Okay. So you have his and hers. Yeah.
Yes. And so the 16-year-old is a boy, Craig's son, who we've had since he was like 9 years old, I think.
Yeah. And then the 21-year-old.
Yes. She lives in Hot Springs with her mom. She has a great mom and she's a great kid. Yeah. 21. So it's cool. Crazy. She's 21. I can't believe she's 21.
Wow. Yeah. So the almost grown kids, almost. You got one more.
Yeah.
One more son. So music producing, that's fun too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's cool. Are you musical?
No.
No. So your son is just gifted.
I love music, but like I'm not like.
Yeah, me neither. Like I took piano lessons once and I begged my mom not to make me go to the dance recital or the piano recital at the end. Cause I was like, I could not play the piece. Like it was so bad. It was not for me.
I was in elementary and I liked it. I could like do some stuff like listen to it and play. And my dad,
that's all I got.
My dad is very musical, and so like I could hear stuff and then like figure it out. But I think it was more like the time like I want to be good as soon as I start. I want to be good immediately. Like I don't want to practice, which is terrible. But that's what I wanted to do, and I wasn't. And I had a recital too, and I was just like, I don't want to do this. Like, God, please, whatever. And then a tornado hit the cafeteria.
Oh my God!
I didn't have to do it.
Oh my God! I feel like you have this like sixth sense or something. That's
no one was hurt, so that's why I'm bragging.
Heather because the tornado's coming.
Yeah, and then I didn't have to do the recital, and I was like, thanks.
Thanks, God, you got me.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is epic.
Yeah.
I mean, the power goes out when you're at Baja and Little Rock during the pandemic, and you're like, never mind for you guys. Okay. And then 102 on the clock, 102 on the clock. Kind of like all
That's
this
weird.
good spiritual energy around you. It's
I
fun.
hope so.
Yeah, I hope so. All right. So I have one question that I end every podcast with all of our guests, and it is, what is something that you have never done but want to?
Like, I would love to travel. Like, I would love to go to Italy. And so, like, I feel like maybe a lot of people say travel. I do not want to skydive. Well, just like skydive popped in my head.
Me either.
But I don't want to do it. Why did that pop in my head?
I don't know.
I was like, skydive.
No.
Because I'm adventurous.
That was your pageant answer.
I'm not.
Yeah.
So
travel.
I am. But no, that's scary. I hate heights. Ugh. I guess that's getting me closer to not being in heights. I don't want to do that. I would love to travel, but then I hate, and Craig he'll use that against me sometimes. He's like, we could be in Italy right now, but you had to open all these restaurants. So whatever.
Yes.
I mean, I would love to do that. I would love to spend like a month in Italy, just like eating.
Yeah. The food
and seeing things.
Yeah. So Justin and I got married in Greece in 21, and then we went
That's
to
on
Italy.
my list, too.
So we were over there for 2 weeks in Greece and Italy, and it was amazing.
What if I was like, I want to host a podcast, and then I was like, anyway, welcome back.
I would love that. I'd be like, and she launched it here.
Took over.
Yes.
It's my podcast now.
Yes, I would love
Look at
that.
me. I am
What
the
would you
host
call a podcast? Yeah. What would you call a podcast?
Well, I don't know. That just came to me. What if I was like the Schmooshmaids?
The Schmooshmaids. I'm going to go with no one knows how the hell to spell that, first of all, to put on the podcast name. So
just put an SH between
Schmoosh and Schmaids. Yeah, Schmooshmaids.
There we
The
go.
Schmobers.
The Schmidt.
Schmobers.
The Schmobers.
Schmobers.
Like, yeah. Open up a Schmaha Schmrill.
I feel like I'm going to be doing this all day. Like, hi, my name's Schmrook. Like,
But your hair's like dark. You have to like go dark.
Yeah,
You're like, maybe it's Schmrook.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to be on Wednesday, like the Addams Family movie, like, is that Addams Family? Oh, I'm doing my hands like this, like I'm the It. You know the It thing? Or
They
what's it
can't
called?
see you.
It. Is his name It? Cousin It. Isn't that, no, what's the hand called? Thing. It's called
here
thing.
we go. Trivia. Every podcast, I like to ask a trivia question.
And there you go. The thing.
What's the hand?
Yes.
No, you're wrong, Brooke.
All right. Is there anything else you wish you would ask me about? Do you want to ask me about it? You want me to ask you about? Did we miss anything?
I don't think so.
Yeah. You've been a great guest.
Oh, thanks.
You've been fun learning about tea bags and smush.
Tea bags, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was a hair this whole time.
What is
but it's
it?
a scratch on the
there's
table.
one on this side too. I wonder if it's from shipping.
It's not a hair.
Yeah.
I guess that's it. I mean,
what advice would you give someone that like wanted to follow in your path and open a restaurant?
Don't do it. What advice? I mean, you have to be a present owner or something. Well, I mean, a lot of the small business, I mean, that's the thing too. Like a lot of people don't think we're a small business. Someone the other day called us a franchise, and then someone else on Facebook said, anyway, someone came to eat and they posted it and they were like, oh no, you need to start going to small business, local mom and pop. And I'm like, dude, I literally just got home from like 14-hour work. Like, we're a small business.
You're like, I started these recipes in my kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Short rib you're eating, like,
yeah.
The short rib was one of the first things I ever made for Craig when we started dating.
Aww.
So I always suggest that at Rover. If you go to Rover, get the short rib or the steaks.
Vegan pasta.
She said vegan pasta. Short rib.
That vegan pasta is to die for. And the wine flight.
Wine flight, yeah.
Yeah, except it's 3 big glasses.
Is it big?
Ish.
Yeah. Well, and our base pours on our cocktails and liquors are big. Sorry, I'm just now like noticing that ceiling. That's really cool.
It's original to the house.
We do like the legal limit. Like, we do a lot, and I think probably that has to do some with my alcoholism.
like pour it up for everybody. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. Anyway, I just got way off track.
That's okay.
Thanks for coming to the show. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, to my podcast.
Yeah, to the Heather Baber-Roe podcast on Schmaha Schmil.
Schmaders.
Schmur. There we go. All right. Thank you guys for listening. And until next time.
You've been listening to the Grit Crusade podcast with Brooke Plack. Our theme song is Thunder City by Lunar Ray, licensed through Soundstripe. This podcast was produced by Luminate Media Group. Thank you for listening, and we will see you on the next episode.